Hello, my name is Trey Merritt. I am a senior English major at Howard University. In this series of tutorials, I will show you how to scrape data from Wikipedia pages using Google Sheets and how to clean that data using OpenRefine. In order to follow this tutorial, you will need a Google account in order to access Google Sheets, and you will also need a version of Microsoft Excel. In the first part of this tutorial, I will show you how to scrape data from a table on a Wikipedia page using the import HTML command on Google Sheets, and I will also show you how to save that file into Excel. Wikipedia has lots of information, and while the majority of that information is simple text, there are tons of tables on Wikipedia that can be used for data analysis. While this example is Wikipedia specific, the import HTML command can be used for any table on any public website. I will be scraping this data on JZ, but this method will work for any table on Wikipedia. First, let's create a blank spreadsheet using Google Sheets. In order to do this, make sure you are logged into your Google account and then go to drive.google.com. Click on the button labeled New in the top left corner and then create a blank spreadsheet by clicking on Google Sheets. I'm going to title this spreadsheet JZ Videography because that is the data that we will be scraping from Wikipedia. In the first cell of the spreadsheet, type equals import HTML. This is the command that we will use to tell the spreadsheet to scrape the data from Wikipedia. Copy and paste the URL of the Wikipedia page with the data that you want to download. Make sure the URL is in quotation marks. Next, type a comma followed by the word table in quotation marks. This will tell the computer that the data that we want to download is in a table. Lastly, type a comma followed by the number that corresponds to which table you are going to download from the Wikipedia page. The program treats all multimedia elements on the page as tables, including pictures, videos, and maps. So for example, on this page, this table is the one that I want to download, and it is the first table on the page. So I'm going to type a 1. This number does not go in quotation marks. If you get the number wrong, you can always delete the data and modify your original command. Press Enter, and wait for the program to download your data. As you can see, the data from this Wikipedia page has been saved into the Google spreadsheet. I also want to download the second table on this Wikipedia page, which lists Jay-Z's videography as a featured artist. I could save it in a separate Google Sheet, however, my end goal is to analyze these datasets together, so I will go ahead and import the second table into the spreadsheet as well. I'm going to use the same command as before, but I will change the number 1 to a number 2 because I want to download the data from the second table on the page. In this step, I will show you how to save your Google Sheets spreadsheet as an Excel file. We have to download our spreadsheet in order to make use of OpenRefine, which will help us clean our data for analysis. Open the spreadsheet you want to download in Google Sheets. Click on File, Download, and Microsoft Excel. This file will download as an Excel spreadsheet automatically. In part 2, I will be modifying the dataset for my specific research purposes. Sometimes, the way that the data is presented on the Wikipedia page is not optimal for your own research goals. In this step, I will show you a few tricks to quickly move around data in an Excel spreadsheet so that you can modify the layout of data to suit your own specific research purposes. I want to add a column that specifies whether Jay-Z was a lead or featured artist on each video in the spreadsheet. I'll start by adding a header for this new column, and I will title it Main or Featured Artist. The Wikipedia page differentiated between these two types of videos by making two separate tables, and we downloaded each table individually. Because of this, all of the videos in which Jay-Z is the lead artist are listed first, followed by all of the videos in which he is the featured artist. This will allow us to quickly enter whether Jay-Z was a lead or featured artist into this column. In order to do this, I'm going to highlight all of the cells in which I want to enter that Jay-Z was the main artist. And it looks like this is the end of the first table. Then I'm going to type the word main into the function bar, and then hold down Control and Enter. This allows me to enter a lot of data quickly into the spreadsheet. I'm going to do the same thing for the videos in which Jay-Z was a featured artist. So I'm going to highlight these, go to the function bar, type in featured, and then Control Enter. Lastly, I'm going to delete this column, or this row, which is the header for the second table, but I want these to be one complete table. In this step, I will show you how to use Excel's Fill Below command to fill in empty cells in an Excel spreadsheet. If we take a look at the original table on the Wikipedia page, we will see that the table only lists each year once for every video. For example, these 3 videos were all produced in 1996, but the year 1996 is only listed once. Wikipedia uses this kind of layout a lot because it is easy for human readers to understand. However, this layout is lost when we save the data to a spreadsheet, leaving lots of empty cells that we will want to fill in order to analyze the data. We could go through manually and fill in each individual empty cell. However, with larger data sets, this can become tedious. In this step, I will show you how to quickly copy and paste each value into all of the empty cells below it for all cells in the column. First, I'm going to highlight the cells that should have a value in them. Then, I am going to use Excel's Go-To Special command to select only those cells which are blank. You can do this quickly by holding down the Control key and pressing G, and clicking on Special, or you can go to Home, Find and Select, and go to Special. Click on the bubble labeled Blanks, and then hit OK. This will select all of the blank cells in the column. Next, we want to tell the computer to fill in every blank cell with the value immediately above it. To do this, click on the formula bar and type an equal sign followed by the value of the cell above the first blank cell in the column. So for example, the first blank cell in this column is B4, so I'm going to type in B3. And then hit Control and Enter. As you can see, this quickly filled in every cell with the value of the cell immediately above it, which is useful for modifying Wikipedia tables for data analysis. I can do the same for the directors column as well. So I'm going to highlight all of these. So I'm going to highlight all of these. Hit Control G, Special, select the blank cells, and then hit equals C2 and Control Enter. In part 3 of this tutorial, I am going to show you how to clean data using OpenRefine. OpenRefine is a free open source software that runs in your web browser. It lets you manipulate data in a spreadsheet. Follow the on-site directions to download the latest version of the program onto your specific operating system. I already have OpenRefine installed on my computer, so I will not walk you through it here. I want to open my spreadsheet with Jay-Z's videography data. In order to do this, I will click on Create Project, choose File, and then I will navigate to the specific file I want to open. Now that I've selected the file, I'll click on Open, click on Next, and then I'll click on Create Project in the top right corner of the next screen so that I can begin to manipulate the data in the spreadsheet. All of the titles in this dataset have quotation marks around them, and I want to get rid of these. I can use the Replace feature to do this. The Replace feature will find all characters in every column and replace them with another character, and we can use this to remove the quotation marks surrounding the song titles. I'll open the drop-down menu for the specific column that I want to transform. Next, I'll click on Edit Cells and Transform. In this window, we can type a code into the text box labeled Expressions, and it will perform certain actions onto our spreadsheet. The column on the left is the current state of our spreadsheet, and the column on the right is what will happen if we run our code. We can use value.replace in order to replace certain characters or strings of characters in the column. The first variable is the character or characters that you want to replace, and the second variable is what you want to replace them with. Both sets of characters go in quotation marks. For example, this will replace all of the capital I's with lowercase f's. Note that this function is case sensitive. However, I don't want to replace I's with f's, I want to get rid of quotation marks. In order to do this, we can type a backslash followed by a quotation mark. For the first variable, the backslash tells the program to treat the next character as a character to be replaced and not as a quotation mark that is part of the code. And for the second one, we can leave it blank. The two empty quotation marks for the second input signal to the computer that we do not want to replace the character with anything. This effectively removes it. Now there is a second way to use the replace command in OpenRefine, and it's a bit easier. I'm going to navigate to the drop-down menu and click on Edit Cell, and I'll click on Replace all the way at the bottom. This will open a window like this, and it works the same way as before. However, with this version, you do not have to worry about quotation marks and backslashes. Just type what you want to replace in the first text box, and type what you want to replace it with in the second. However, this method does not have the advantage of showing you the effects of your find/replace command before you run it. I also want to create a separate column that lists the featured artists on each song. The original table on Wikipedia listed the featured artist in the song title in parentheses, but I want to list these in a separate column. In order to do this, I'm going to open the drop-down menu of the song title column, which I want to split into two separate columns. I'm going to click on Edit Column and split into several columns. I have to specify to OpenRefine which character I want to mark the division between these two columns. In my example, the featured artist is always listed after the song title in parentheses. I can use an open parentheses to mark the division between the two columns. In the text input box labeled separator, I'm going to type in parentheses and then hit OK. As you can see, this split my original column into two separate columns. I'm going to go ahead and relabel the new column as Featured Artist. In order to do this, I will click on Rename Column under the Edit Column option in the drop-down menu. There's still a bit of cleaning up to do for this column. Each artist is always followed by a closed parentheses which I want to get rid of. As before, I can use the Replace feature to get rid of these. I also want to get rid of the word featuring that precedes each listed artist because that information is provided in the title of the column. I also want to remove the bracketed numbers in the directors column. If we take a look at the original Wikipedia table, we can see that these numbers were originally hyperlinks to the sources at the bottom of the page. Google Sheets preserve those numbers when we scrape the data from Wikipedia, but I have no use for them. I can use the Split into Several Columns feature to get rid of these. As before, I'm going to navigate to Split into Several Columns under Edit Column in the drop-down menu. This time, I'm going to type an open bracket as the separator and hit OK. Now that the column has been split into two, I can go ahead and delete the second column, which contains all of the excess information that I do not want. In order to do this, I will click on Remove Column under Edit Column in the Columns drop-down menu. I want to get rid of all the white space before and after any words in my spreadsheet. It can be hard to see on your own if there are any extra spaces before or after values in your sheet. Fortunately, there is an easy way to do this in OpenRefine. In the Columns drop-down menu, go to Edit Cells and Common Transforms, and then click on Trim Leading and Trailing White Space. This will get rid of any excess spaces in your cells which interfere with the computer's ability to recognize your data. You can do this for every column in the spreadsheet. I have finished cleaning my dataset with OpenRefine, and now I want to save my data as an Excel sheet again. In the top right corner of the browser window, I can click on Export and Excel, and the newly cleaned file will automatically download onto my computer. I want to add a column that denotes the gender of each director. Because this is new information that wasn't listed in the original Wikipedia page, I will have to add it manually. However, there are a few steps I can take in order to speed up this process. First, I'm going to create a new column for the gender of each director. Next, I'm going to turn on filters so that I only have to enter the gender once for each director in the spreadsheet. In order to do this, I'm going to click on the arrow in the top left corner of the Excel spreadsheet, and then I'm going to click on Data in the menu bar, and then click on Filter. By clicking on the filter icon at the top of the director column, I can isolate each director and add their gender. For example, I can click on the box next to Abdul Malik Abbott in order to see only those rows in which he is the director. I can quickly enter his gender for all of these rows by highlighting the respective cells, typing in male into the function bar, and then hitting Control and Enter. I can do this for every director in the spreadsheet. Our Wikipedia data is finally cleaned up and ready to be analyzed. Now we just have to save the file. Saving an Excel sheet is just like any other. Simply go to File and Save, and you're good to go.